Hello, it's been some time since we spoke, and pardon me, I have new teeth, and that will be a little bit challenging for me to talk properly because I bit my tongue. But point is, after this holidays and Thanksgiving, we can finally start talking about what is transpiring. And the first thing which we need to immediately note is the hysteria which is happening right now, both in the official NATO structures and US and Western media, which basically work for them. And today, Mr. Stoltenberg, Secretary General of NATO, already spoke about obvious lack of desire to see Russia having her own sphere of interest, and that is expected. Probably the most stunning was the fact that Victoria Nuland, person known to everybody pretty much, speaking today to Ukrainian audience, made such a remark that basically, let's be frank, I usually don't use this type of the expressions, but I literally found myself on the floor when she said that Ukraine is such a beautiful project and such a beautiful country that many Russians would love to move to Ukraine. Frankly, it's so bizarre. It is so opposite to the truth, because now several million of Ukrainians already migrated to Russia, and several millions already migrated to the West, and the population in Ukraine is horrendous, basically, and nobody knows actual number of people who live today there. But point is, United States needs the war desperately. It needs it anyway, somehow, by any circumstances, under any circumstances, by any type of effort. The reason for the reasons for that desperate desire are two. First major reason is the fact that we can see that Biden administration and people who are behind him, including obviously the whole mafia in State Department and whatever the structures they are adjacent to in terms of the foreign policy, domestic policies are a complete disaster. I won't say that Biden necessarily and his administration are solely responsible for that, because I write about systemic crisis of the United States for years now, and I doubt any administration can handle it anyway, because the United States right now is ungovernable. But the most important thing about this is the fact that under a Biden administration, country is definitely dying. The process accelerated, and from environmental to woke agenda to absolutely ridiculous political processes ongoing both in Congress, and economically it's a ruin, despite the fact that they try to present some basically fake numbers in terms of the economic growth of the United States. So we have the situation. We need to understand who those people in DC are. I'm not talking about possible faction which fights for survival of the country, and we understand there isn't some fight ongoing there under the carpet, and which we don't see. But point is, the present generation of American politicians and leaders, as they call this, as Victoria Nuland presents herself, or American present national security and foreign policy establishment, Mr. Blinken, for example. These are people who can operate only within virtual environments. They can manipulate media. They can draw the picture of something like Victoria Nuland did today, that, as it turned out, Russians want to migrate to Ukraine. Obviously, Russians are laughing their asses off, pardon my French. But these are the people who can only speak. They understand words, abstract texts. They do not have any kind of the legitimate statesman skills. They cannot run the country. They don't understand how it's done. It's not the issue of management. There's more to it than just that. Obviously, those people don't understand the war. But they're not entirely stupid. Obviously, they obviously have the sense of the impending doom, or basically not impending, we are already basically within it. They see how the collapse is ongoing, and because they cannot address it, they don't have skills, they don't have real power to do this. The only thing they can do is to create some little wag the dog war somewhere. Ukraine is perfect for that. But what obviously cannot been understood by many, including people who do not want to see war and who basically, in the West, people in the West who want to see a fairly peaceful resolution to all that, is the fact that they operate, for example, the same State Department on a wrong premise. They still think that Russia somehow needs Ukraine. They read Brzezinski, which obviously is completely immediately, dumbs down people who read it, But the point is, Russia doesn't want to start the war, not because it has obviously some very reasonable national security concerns, and it has the issue of supporting the LDNR republics, which Vladimir Putin yesterday spoke straight to the camera, saying that at some point of time they will be recognized as the either independent countries or maybe part of Russia, but they will be. But it's the point which is opposite to what Victoria Nuland said today. And this point is that Russia doesn't want those people. Russian economy, Russian standard of living, the way it's developing right now is such that no normal country wants those 15-20 million people who are hostile to Russia. Those fairy tales about some pro-Russian sentiments. Yeah, there are some pro-Russian sentiments there, obviously, and the more disastrous the policies of the Ukrainian leadership are, and basically American and Western handlers of this country, the more pro-Russian, which is in reality not pro-Russian, but just willing for Russia to pay. This sentiment will be growing. It's normal. People get poorer. The misery is out there. It's everywhere, including the blackouts now and energy hunger and things of this nature. So, yeah, those people are pro-Russian in the sense that, yeah, Russia owes them something. Russia owes them nothing. In fact, Russia owes Ukraine nothing. And that's the whole point. Russians do not want them in their country or on the balance of their country. And that is why Russia avoids this war. I'm not going to be going into LDNR republics and how it occurred, but even as I state non-stop in my blog for years, even within those LDNR republics, Lugansk and Donetsk republics, there is a very serious anti-Russian sentiment, especially among youth. So it's not all peachy out there. And Russians in general, and Kremlin in particular, they do understand this issue. That is why Russia originally just needed Crimea, that's it. But it is what it is at this stage, and this is the major concern, and it's a major reason why United States needs desperately any kind of the event which will refocus public attention to some kind of, well, they will come up with, they are good at lying, basically. They have degrees in lying. And that is the main thing which drives them at this stage to the point of hysteria, because they need this war. Economy is, it's in a catastrophic downfall. And there's other huge issues with the country being basically split not just in half, but the United States is basically a bunch of the localities with their unique cultures, and localization was ongoing for years. So we're looking at basically the place where there is no unified nation anymore, which is very dangerous. Then, of course, the other reason, which I think it's my hypothesis, but in many respects, this situation with Ukraine and the way the West drives it is partially, at least, justified by the situation with Gillian, whatever her name, Maxwell, the famous pedophile Epstein, being on trial now, and big names being already stated. And no matter how they will try to suppress it, how they will try to reframe the thing, the whole notion that the United States has so many pedophiles and sexual perverts in its top echelons of power, and we already can hear, well, it's conjecture, say, well, maybe. But even the pilot of Mr. Epstein, he already stated what kind of people were already on those flights to this pedophile island of Mr. Epstein, and name of Mr. Clinton is out there. And guess what? Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Victoria Nuland, all this blinking guy, and these are the same people. This is the same clan. So obviously refocusing to something what will be presented as absolutely major is important for them in tactical and operational senses. I'm not saying that this is the main reason. Obviously, the most important reason is the fact that the country is screwed up. We are really facing some real serious issues. But that is in addition. And there are obviously other subordinate factors which drive this whole hysteria and desire to see Russians go in, obliterate Ukrainian forces, and then take this rump of a country, which is absolutely, I mean, it's a black hole. It's the poorest country in Europe, and it's getting even worse than that. So as you can see yourself, there is kind of a general plan for that. Obviously, the fact that Russian armed forces, if they will get involved big time, well, it goes without saying, even those people in DC and Foggy Bottom, they understand that the Ukrainian armed forces are not going to exist for a long time. But then, what are we going to do after that? And that is the most important issue. Obviously, the United States needs Europe cut off Russian energy supplies. And the only thing which the United States really can be competitive at this stage is obviously American LNG, liquid natural gas, and other hydrocarbons, and obviously shutting off or cutting off Russia's energy supply to Europe under political pretext, namely war, and showing how brutal and nasty those Ruskies are. That's the only way for the United States to make money in the long run and basically kill the European manufacturing and allow American products to go into Europe and the European market and be competitive there. So that's the plan. There's no other plan, really. And of course, we are talking about the situation with the which is of purely military nature. It is obviously the issue of Russia increasing widening the gap in terms of the arms, and probably the United States will not be able to catch up on some crucial technologies there. And here's the deal. I mean, it's old as the world. What do? You just start the war to stop development, both economic and military, scientific, what have you. In this particular case, Ukraine is the last ace in the American sleeve. But judging by the behavior, already very rational people, but especially seeing what they do today, you can sense the level of desperation. Something big is really brewing in there, and obviously, in the end, let's just say it and notice the 800-pound gorilla in the room, or white elephant, or what have you. I mean, United States has a president who is really, for all intents and purposes, is not functional man. He's a senior citizen. We can have whatever the attitude we have towards Joe Biden. Some people think that he's a pedophile. Who knows? And obviously, we can discuss it for a long time. The problem is the guy is not functional as the head of state. And the fact that he was elected And the fact that he still acts and people refer to him as such, that he is capable of making some decisions or whatever, it shows the depth to which the American quote-unquote democracy fell. And obviously, there are very few bright prospects for it as it is today. And that's what we see. Reaction of the ruling class trying to cover its own crimes and trying to cover its own incompetence. American ruling class is incompetent. I am on record on that for that. And now if you throw in the fact that there are a lot of perverts, my goodness, what do you have here? It's a tragedy, it's national catastrophe, and that's how it unfolds already. And people who have eyes and have brain, they can see it. And this is what I wanted to talk about today. As always, please do not forget to support me on Patreon if you want more materials of this nature. And I will try, and again, we have the Christmas coming, and December is kind of short month, but I will try to do my best to keep you abreast in both video and obviously on my blog. And there are some other interesting things could be surprising for you, which may be coming very soon. So, but at this stage, again, thank you very much for your support, and I will start probably announcing my helpers and people who support me in person in the new 2022 year. And please, again, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and to support me on Patreon. Well, thank you very much, and that will be it for today. Bye-bye.